I think we are ready to go.
Thank you, Maria. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and allow me to officially welcome you to the IUCN SOS African Wildlife Initiative celebration event. I know you have already met Maria Fernanda, who will be our moderator for this session. My name is Anne Mogo, and I'm a grant coordinator with the initiative. I work with IUCN based in Switzerland. And I am joined on the call as well by my colleagues. I will mention a few of them. Felician Yeti, I think you know him, colleagues from Western Central Africa. We also have Faria Tarus from representing Eastern and Southern Africa, who's here with us. And I just also want to mention very quickly, we have Juliet, we have Tracy, and a few other colleagues who are working behind the scenes to help us and to make this event a success. And I just want to recognize you all on the call. Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite Ana Nieto, Miss Ana Nieto. She's the head of the Species Conservation Action Team here in IUCN at Switzerland to give us some welcome remarks. Over to you, Anna.
Thank you, Anne, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here with you and to see so many known faces. So also from my side, a very warm welcome as we make our final stop along the knowledge capitalization journey of the IUCN's SOS African Wildlife Initiative. A special thank you to all our partners, grantees, and colleagues who have contributed to this initiative and its knowledge management process. We're pleased to be joined by members of the donor community, government representatives, scientists, and civil society organizations from across Africa and beyond. So conservation action initiatives such as this one, the African Wildlife Initiative, present massive opportunities for IUCN and our partners to reflect on the lessons learned from our projects, both from the field, but also from the grant management perspective. For those of you who are new to this journey, the SOS African Wildlife Initiative has been a coordinated effort to deliver both conservation impact across priority species, but also for their habitats and the communities that depend on them. We have managed to support 91 projects across 31 sub-Saharan African countries, focusing on key species and those at risk, from carnivores and their prey to vultures and freshwater biodiversity. But this initiative went beyond grants. It built partnerships, it fostered conservation innovation, and critically, generated knowledge, best practices, and enabled knowledge exchange across the continent. Today, we're here to broaden that knowledge exchange, to ensure that the successes, challenges, and innovations from each project can be understood, shared, and support future conservation efforts. We will hear directly from our implementing partners on the ground what worked, what was difficult, impacts were achieved for biodiversity and human well-being. I invite you to fully participate, let's share and reflect together on how to carry these lessons forward and how to inspire more action and how to really scale up. So with that, I'm delighted to hand over to Maria, who is our facilitator today, and guide us through today's program. Over to you, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would like to invite everyone now to a short check-in because we are curious to know who you are here. You are the ones that are very important for us. So if you allow me, I will explain a short exercise for us to do now. We will take a cup of breath, please. Let me just mute everyone for now, and you will be able to talk in the breakout rooms. So we want to know more about you and your experience, and we'll do a short exchange exercise. You are going to be in small groups and be able to introduce yourself. The invitation to join the group will appear automatically in your Zoom. You just need to accept the invitation to join the group. Make sure you manage well the time because you're going to be between 4 and 5 participants per group. When you join the group, Like in a circle, one after another, you're going to share your name, where your feet touch the ground, where are you talking now, where are you working, and answer the question. What's the one thing you are proud to have accomplished in relation to African wildlife? What is the one thing you are proud to have accomplished in related to the African wildlife work you do? You have around 10 minutes, 14 minutes in the group. Once the time ends, you will be returning to the main group automatically, okay? So I will let you to stay with the question for 1 minute while I'm creating the groups. And welcome back to the main room. I hope you have enjoyed your short exchange and probably is looking for more. It's always like this. It's very short, but it's somehow an exercise to see how we are and who is in the room, who is here joining us today. And to proceed with the exchange, I will share with you a video that were created to this initiative, the initiative to share knowledge, learn from each other, and document our results, our lessons, and inspire others in the way we are doing conservation. So for now, I will share my screen and we will be able to watch the IUCN SOS African Wildlife Initiative video, okay?
Africa is home to rich biodiversity of countless species and ecosystems that support communities, economies, and enable life on our planet. But they need safeguarding. With over 1 million species at risk of extinction globally, urgent action is needed to protect and restore wildlife, ensuring healthy ecosystems, livelihoods, and a sustainable future for all. The African Wildlife Initiative by IUCN Save Our Species supported conservationists across sub-Saharan Africa by funding impactful on-the-ground projects fostering collaboration that protected species, habitats, and people.
Africa is home to a large and diverse population of wildlife. But unfortunately, due to increasing and growing social, economic, and environmental threats, they are under threat. And some of the pressures include from things like poaching, illegal wildlife trade, wildlife diseases, unsustainable consumptive habits, among others. And as a result, IUCN, in partnership with the European Union, developed the IUCN SOS African Wildlife Initiative.
In November 2024, conservationists from the initiative and IUCN staff gathered in Nairobi, Kenya for the African Wildlife Initiative Lessons Learned Workshop. They shared successes, challenges, and innovative solutions, strengthening collective efforts for impactful conservation action on the ground. From 2017 to 2024, the European Union, through the African Wildlife Initiative, co-funded 91 projects across the continent that helped protect an estimated 64 threatened species and placed 40 million hectares of threatened species habitat under improved management, ensuring their preservation. Focusing on species conservation, habitat management, sustainable livelihoods, and capacity building, the initiative has led to tangible conservation successes.
On a permis à des groupements de femmes de multiplier leur production de manioc par 4, de multiplier la transformation de ces manioc par 5, et on leur a permis de trouver de nouveaux marchés avec l'industrie locale qui payait à des prix plus importants que par le passé. Donc du coup, les revenus de ces femmes-là ont été multipliés par 10.
These communities have lived with wildlife for centuries, so trying to build on that recognition, that ability to coexist with wildlife and reinforce cultural mechanisms and cultural traditions that allow the communities to live with wildlife rather than continuing depending on solutions that are coming from outside.
And this was done through a vocational training initiative where community members learned about skills, and they were able to use their skills to get alternative livelihood. So there was training on masonry, training on motorbike repairs, training on mobile phone repairs, training on catering, hairdressing, tailoring.
At the end of the project, we also were able to reduce human-lion conflicts by about 65%, We also capacitated local communities on BOMA techniques, which further helped to mitigate human-lion conflict.
With this project, we were piloting provision of bone fragments to the cave vultures. We saw 12 when we started of the chicks with bone vomites, and then with the pilot project which we did, that number reduced to 5, and then we continued to do the same project, and we saw that the number of chicks that had those bone problems was reducing. That was the most important part, because cave vultures then was endangered, and we have seen that now the population has improved to be now listed as vulnerable.
La régénération naturelle des forêts. À ce niveau-là, nous avons travaillé sur environ 600 hectares régénérés. C'était les forêts galeries et les forêts claires.
This workshop gave us the opportunity to directly interact with our partners on the ground and hear what valuable lessons they have learned by implementing their projects.
I've learned a lot about grant management. I've learned a lot about how to structure a project, and I think what SOS has enabled me to do is to be able to apply for bigger grants, to be able to support our work to scale it up.
The results are obvious. More than 95% of the lake has been cleared, and we're seeing manatee coming back, and the local community are now able to fish and provide for their families.
Looking ahead, the power of knowledge sharing will continue to shape the future of conservation. By learning from one another and building on the successes of today, we are not only addressing current challenges, but also laying the groundwork for a sustainable future. Thanks to the dedication of our partners, the African Wildlife Initiative has made significant progress. But conservation is an ongoing journey, one that requires continued investment, collaboration, and innovation.
Despite all this impactful work that has been done, Africa's wildlife is still under threat. We still need more resources, more partnerships, more advocacy, more awareness raising to continue the work that has been done and to scale up these efforts for greater impact. We cannot do this alone. We need your collaboration to work hand in hand to create a future for our children, a future that we're proud of, where wildlife and communities can live hand in hand.
Together, we can build a future where people and nature thrive in harmony.
Thank you so much for your help, Juliet, and for sharing this amazing video. I would like to invite now Annie Mugo, Felicia Chare, and Faria Taros for the next session, where they are going to share a bit more about the initiative and the results. Please.
Thank you, Maria. I'll start with a few words, just to say that Africa is home to some of the world's richest biodiversity, iconic wildlife, vibrant ecosystems, and nearly 2,000 key biodiversity areas that support diverse species and livelihoods. However, between 1970 and the year 2020, there has been a recorded 76% decline in the average size of monitored vertebrate wildlife populations. And currently, we are facing extinction rates of up to 100 times higher than the natural average, signaling a sixth mass extinction, a crisis that affects every continent and community. Africa risks reaching an ecological tipping point that could destabilize ecosystems and jeopardize the livelihoods of millions who depend on nature. But let's also take a moment to recognize Africa's realities. The continent faces unique and interconnected challenges in its efforts to conserve biodiversity. Ecological pressures from a reliance on agriculture, mining, and tourism. Rapid population growth, with Africa's population projected to surpass the 1 billion mark by 2050, which will increase the demand for land, water, food, and energy. Political and institutional barriers that hinder effective governance. And externalities such as climate change, that is transforming ecosystems and putting species and people at risk. So what does this all mean for biodiversity? Deforestation, urbanization, and land conversion is leading to habitat loss and degradation. Human-wildlife conflict has now become one of the priority areas of concern due to competition for space and resources. Overexploitation of wildlife and natural resources that is continuing the declining species trajectory. and new and emerging challenges of climate disruption, pandemics, invasive alien species, all of which are impacting both ecological balance and livelihoods. And we may ask ourselves, so why is all this important? It is important because biodiversity underpins life on Earth. And I repeat, biodiversity underpins life on Earth. It provides clean water, fertile soils, pollination, carbon storage, and climate resilience. And in Africa, these services are deeply entwined with our local economies, our health, our food systems, and cultures. So finally, is just to say that safeguarding Africa's biodiversity is not just an environmental issue, it's a development imperative. And against this backdrop, I would like to invite Félicien. Félicien, I would like to invite you to share with us the framework of the IUCN SOS African Wildlife Initiative. Over to you.
Thank you, Anne. Hi, everyone. Just like you said, I will just give a snapshot of what the African Wildlife Initiative was all about. So let's start with the challenges, just like you presented, Anne. Africa has seen a decline in its wildlife population since the 1970s. And this decline is driven by habitat loss, poaching, illegal wildlife trade, and the impact of climate change. Adding to this is economic pressure and weak governance, which adds more complexity to this decline. Not forgetting human-wildlife conflict that threaten both communities and species. So to address these challenges, the African Wildlife Initiative of IUCN SOS adopted an integrated approach, which is science-based and community-driven, focusing on 3 pillars: species, habitat, and people. That is, protecting species, restoring the habitat, and empowering people. This holistic model ensures that conservation benefits both wildlife and communities. So the initiative had 2 types of grants. The threatened species grant that supported conservation of threatened species, and the rapid action grants, which allow rapid action to emergencies like poaching hikes, disease outbreaks, or invasive species. The African Wildlife Initiative also had a multifaceted strategy. The initiative funded projects that protect or provided direct funding to conservation actions on the ground, built partnerships, and invested in local capacity. Not forgetting policy and advocacy work, which make sure that progress is supported by strong environmental governance. So what were we trying to achieve with this initiative? First of all, our aim was to stabilize and recover threatened species population, improve and restore their habitat, and deliver tangible impacts or benefits to the population that depends on this species and their habitat for survival. The initiative also aimed to strengthen civil society organizations and generate knowledge that could be shared and scaled across Africa, which is one of the things we are here to do. And finally, the initiative also aimed to raise awareness about the species extinction crisis and the work that is being carried out by civil society organizations to address this crisis. So our overall objective was to prevent the extinction of threatened species in Africa, and specifically the African carnivores and their prey species. So that is a screenshot of what the African Wildlife Initiative was all about. Thank you very much, Anne. Over to you.
Thank you, Félicien. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I would like now to invite Faria to share with us a brief summary of what this initiative was able to achieve. Over to you, Faria.
Thank you very much, Anne. Just quickly is that we're excited to share the results and efforts that we achieved from this initiative. This initiative ran from 2017, and we've supported over 90 conservation projects across the sub-Saharan region. We not only measured results in hectares or species protected, but we also looked at the capacity of local actors and community and coexistence between people and wildlife. At a glance, we achieved the following. We had 39.7 million hectares of land that was improved in conservation management. We supported 34 threatened species action grants, which were medium-term grants that ran for approximately 24 months. We also supported rapid action grants, which were provided to support conservation emergencies like the COVID-19 pandemic, and we had 54 projects in this portfolio. Our project reached around 665,000 community members, and we reported that 44,510 people benefited from this initiative through training, workshops, or policy events. We also had 8 of our grantees who were recognized for conservation excellence, and we were pleased to have contributed to new species action plans and policies, both at national level and also at a regional level. We also had 30 projects that worked on addressing human-wildlife conflicts to promote coexistence and harmony between people and wildlife. And we also had 31 out of 49 sub-Saharan countries that benefited from this initiative. In total, we also had 64 species that were protected by this initiative. So once again, we thank you. We thank you, our grantees and partners and the field teams who made this possible. And we look forward to hearing more stories and celebrating this impact together. Thank you.
Thank you, Faria. Ladies and gentlemen, that was just a brief overview of the basis for the development of the initiative, the threats that we, or at least challenges that we sought to address, how the initiative was designed, and a real brief of some of the impact that was achieved. And now back to you, Maria.
Thank you so much. And now I would like to invite you for a very interesting session where you're going to share a bit of the experiences from the grantees. I will explain how we will be in the breakout rooms. We have 9 topics. I know that your projects and generally your actions in the field are covering more than one aspect, but just to make easy our exchange, I will create 9 groups, while these groups have some speakers who are grantees that are going to share very short what are the results they have achieved and what made this possible. So the topics that we are going to share are related to monitoring species, protecting historic habitats, promoting sustainable use of natural resources and alternative livelihoods for communities, capacity building of local actors and communities, and of course, policy and advocacy. In each of these groups, you are first going to either watch a video with the testimonial or hearing firsthand the grantees sharing their experience. And after this moment, you will be able to share yourself topics related to that topic. So either if you are a grantee or a grant manager or someone working in the field with other topics, you will be able to do that. Now I will ask Juliette, she will put in the chat some of this information, and you allow me to just set up the speakers group because I had to recreate it again, but I will give you 2 minutes and then we go to the group. So for the ones who work with this, you can start to think about what are the experiences that you have in these topics and what made possible to achieve. I will come back to you. Again, the invitation appears in your Zoom. You just need to accept to go to the room. When the time is finished, then you will be invited to come back, okay? So now that you are all back, we are going to move to another session where we are going to share a bit of the lessons we learn in the grant management aspect. So you just had a conversation about the technical aspects of your projects, monitoring species, restoring habitat, enhancing capacity. But we know that the grant itself, the management of the grant mechanism by IUCN and partners like European Union, but also the project that you do demands a lot of effort and knowledge. So from the moment that we launch a call for proposal to the moment that we close a project that was supported, there is a lot of work to do. So in the knowledge management process, IUCN team, together with the grants, facilitate several exchanges on what we could learn from this process, managing the grant from IUCN side and the project from the grantee's perspective. And we put all this together, document it, draw some lessons, and also indicate some recommendations. So we try to systematize that in a knowledge brief that you will receive afterwards, but we are selecting some of the recommendations. And I will put that in the pool. So you will see on your screen some of these recommendations from the application process, monitoring, evaluation, communication, partnership. And you are going to choose one of these recommendations that makes sense for you, for your practice. So you're going to read them and choose the one that you think would make sense for you to spend time and energy to improve the way you're doing this management process of your project, of the grant. And based on your choice, you are going to be directly to the group to discuss with the group this point. So I will share first the pool. Make sure that when you answer the question, you answer in the language that you want to discuss. Why? From answer 1 to 14, they are in English. And from 15 to 26, I think, they are in French. Pour les collègues francophones, il faut choisir les réponses en français. Comme ça, vous allez rejoindre les groupes en français. Vous voyez, so now, I'm sharing let's see. You see, the question is, in which of these recommendations would you invest more attention and energy to strengthen your practice? Pour les francophones, dans quelle recommandation suivante investiriez-vous davantage de temps et d'énergie pour renforcer votre pratique? Et là, il faut choisir une des questions. So you have to choose one answer. From 1 to 14 is in English. And if you go below, you will see that after the 14, we have this, oh no, we don't have the French. So I will translate now, okay? Application process. Improve dissemination of current cause, involve partners early and ensure bilingual communication. Pour l'application du process d'application du programme, pour améliorer la dissémination des appels d'offres. Et je vais, peut-être pour faciliter les francophones, je vais mettre ici les topics en français dans le chat. Un moment, s'il vous plaît.
I can do it, Maria, if you want.
Je vois, I see people is answering. Please continue. For the French speakers, we have the same order for the answers, please. Please continue.
I have a question in the chat. Are these intended as a recommendation to IUCN or to potential grantees?
Both. Some questions, some recommendations related to grant mechanisms go to IUCN, but also any other organization that management has the management role of the grant mechanism itself. Other recommendations are related to the way you do as a grantee. So, for example, application process is more to the grant organizations like IUCN, Conservation International, European Union, WWF, if you are a grant maker. And other recommendations, for example, in monitoring evaluation can serve both sides because both are responsible for the monitoring. And maybe the partnerships in the project implementation are directed to the grantees. So you can choose the ones that are related to your type of organization.
Hello, Maria. May I ask you a question in the meantime, please?
Yes.
I am from the GF Small Grants Program from Mauritius, and I wanted to know if there is any collaboration opportunities for the Republic of Mauritius when there are some call of proposals or to be as grantee.
I will let IUCN to answer this question. I think now we are discussing a grant mechanism that close and what are the lessons we learn from it. Probably IUCN will organize separate calls to inform about new grant mechanisms or call for proposals. But maybe Anne, Fadia, or Felician can answer the question about Mauritius being eligible country or not. Colleagues, Anne, Fadia, Felician, can you answer if Mauritius was one of the eligible countries for this initiative?
Sorry.
We
Apologies.
still have, for the other colleagues, you may need to answer the poll in order to move ahead. I see we have 60 answers while we are 96 participants. If you can just choose the one that speaks more to you. Will be easy.
Yes.
Go
Sorry.
ahead, Anne.
Yes, Maria. Yes, in response to the question, yes, you're right. This initiative is closing, at least this phase of the initiative is closing. But to say that Mauritius was not an eligible country because I believe the geographic scope was sub-Saharan Africa. And so it fell outside the identified geographic scope. But moving forward, we will look at the geographic scope and hopefully be able to expand beyond just sub-Sahara Africa as a focus area. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Anne. Okay, colleagues, 1 more minute to answer the poll in order to move to the next step. Yes, when you have answer, it's just one question. Then the pool will disappear because you have answer already. I will give you 1 more minute maximum so we can continue, please. What happens is if you do not answer the poll, when I close the poll, we will be direct to the groups. To answer my following question is, you choose one of these recommendations, right? Maybe you choose application process or partnership. Then you are going to be in groups with these topics. And my question is, what is your to do now? What you are going to do? What is your next step? A simple step that you can take to improve this practice related to this recommendation. Something that do not need support from anyone else. You don't need more resources or authorization. Something that you, as a professional and practitioner, are able to do to improve your practice. Take these lessons and put it in practice. Generally, we document everything and say, oh, these are the good practices we need to move ahead. But some or many of them start with us, with our own work, the way we are doing business. So you will please answer our questions in the groups. You will have short minutes to exchange over there. I will just share the results. So we had 10% on the application process, contracting. Partnership got more attention from the participants, also monitoring and evaluation, communication knowledge management, capacity building, and financial resource. Thank you so much. I think before we move to the next session, maybe I just want to see if someone would like to give a comment on these recommendations or would like to answer what would be possible for you to do. What's the one meaningful action you can do? I will put the questions in English and French on the chat. So now you have choose your recommendation. And what is the one meaningful action that you can take right now within your role, resources to make a difference? Pour les Français, les collègues francophones, quelle est l'action significative que vous pouvez entreprendre dès maintenant, dans le cadre de votre rôle et avec les ressources dont vous êtes déposées pour faire la différence? Anyone would like to share some thoughts about how you can take these recommendations in your practice? You can raise your hand or write in the chat. May I ask someone? Jean-Marie, do you want to talk?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Excuse me because I don't speak very well English. I am learning English. I speak French. If I can, if
Vous
I
pouvez
can help.
parler français directement et les collègues vont utiliser la traduction. He's going to speak in French and then you can follow in the translation. Go ahead, monsieur. Allez-y.
Oui, malheureusement, je n'ai pas été au début de la réunion. Je suis entré un peu en retard. Alors, je ne sais pas ce qui a été dit au début, mais pour ma part, j'ai une petite préoccupation. Alors, je ne sais pas si je peux continuer quand je vais terminer.
Peut-être, messieurs, vous pouvez écrire dans le chat et on va essayer de vous attendre parce que dans ce moment, on est en train de discuter les leçons et les recommandations par rapport à la gestion du projet. Et
Oui.
je préfère donner la parole à les collègues qui iront, par exemple, rapporter un peu comment ils auront fait pour améliorer leur pratique dans la gestion du projet et des donations. Je vois, par exemple, qu'il y a des collègues Pacifique a déjà écrit Pacifique. Je vais ouvrir le micro pour que vous puissiez partager votre idée, s'il vous plaît. Et les messieurs, Jean, s'il vous plaît, écrivez dans le chat, on va essayer de vous assister.
D'accord, merci.
Merci beaucoup à tous les participants. De notre part, nous pensons que la plupart des projets ont été un succès, selon que tout le monde est en train de dire. Et donc, avec les
We're getting
moyens
from all over, and with the means that we have right now, I believe that it will be good for us to keep all the positive results that we've been able to obtain during the implementation of the project and continue to do this with the same actors, meaning that we keep this same partnership that has been constructed or consolidated and during this project and continue working with the same actors even beyond the project. And this will make that we'll have a stable approach that is well known, that has already proved itself successful, and we can continue with this same trend. Even if we changed the source of financing or grants, even if we changed the site where we're implementing the project. This is what I'd like to share. Thank you.
Pacific. Thank you so much. I would invite the colleagues to share in the chat other insights or action that you can take in your role So we know that you are adapting and adopting new practices to improve the way you are doing business and doing the projects. I see some colleagues are already sharing, and that's very useful. Thank you very much. I know the event is short, so I'm now moving to Anne Muga, our team leader, to start the closing remarks and way forward session. Please, Anne, over to you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for that discussion. I would like to invite Ms. Nadia Kanata from the European Commission's Directorate General of International Partnerships. I hope I said that correctly. Over to you, Nadia, for your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne, and thanks to everybody. So I'm Nadia Kanata, and I work in the environment team at the European Commission. So I have the chance to work on biodiversity matters and to follow SOS species. So I will not repeat what has already been said because it's all extremely relevant, and in particular it comes from people that are actually implementing the activities on the ground, which is even much more important. I will just very, very quickly reemphasize that if we have been supporting this initiative since 2017 and across difficult moments like COVID and adapting also the way of working, it's because of the importance of working on this. Over the years, as Commission, we have a bit evolved in terms of how we work around protected and conserved areas. And you might have heard about the Nature Africa initiative, which is the flagship approach that we have in sub-Saharan Africa, where we bring governance, livelihoods, and conservation together. So we try really to tackle all the issues that also contribute to the protection of threatened species altogether. So the work continues, although in a different, through different angles and a bit different approach. I think what was very interesting is that I've had the chance over the past year to go a bit through the different, let's say, capitalization and knowledge processes. So I would just really like to reemphasize and invite you, as Maria Fernanda said, to look at the videos that have been done. There is an impact report. And there are a lot of stories that are out there. And I think what was extremely important from today was really to hear from each other when I was in the breakout rooms. I think the most important part of this work is the community that is created and the fact that we can definitely all learn from each other, whatever is our role. So for this, I really want to emphasize how important this last part of SOS species year, and this year in particular ahead of to the World Congress that will take place in October. And so I would just like to send a message to please continue exchange among yourself. There were more than 100 people today, which is extremely, extremely good. And continue to exchange the practices and use everything that has been developed thanks to IUCN to continue to be able to apply a number of tools and instruments. And thanks a lot for this conversation today. And over to you, Anne.
Thank you, Nadia, for your words of wisdom, of encouragement. We will, and I think we'll go away with that in mind. And I think at this point is just really to echo also what you've said, that the conversation needs to continue, and we are committed to continuing the conversation. And part of this, in terms of next steps, what will happen after this event? And I think we've had it. We have generated a couple of knowledge products, so we will circulate all this, so you have a chance to watch the videos and other testimonials. I know we just only sampled a few, but you know that the information will be widely shared. We will share with you an impact report, a knowledge brief, so that you can actually be able to see in more detail the impact and figures and structure. Then you'll be able to see yourself, from the regions that you come from, and the work that was done. This year particularly, we are generating country profiles as well, which we will circulate, and you'll be able to see in more detail the very specific projects that were implemented in different countries. But in terms of just also communicating and continuing the conversations, we will be having 3 meetings. I'll call them in-country meetings, so this will not be virtual meetings. They will be in-country. So we will be coming to South Africa. I think there's some South Africans in the room, so we'll be having a meeting in South Africa. We'll be having a regional meeting in Nairobi for the eastern and part of Southern Africa region. And we'll also be having a meeting in Senegal for the Western Central Africa region. So that will be in person, and we'll be wanting to continue these conversations and to see how your work can be scaled up, can be elevated, can be, we can work with other stakeholders, because as I said, this is not work that we can do by ourselves, right? We want to have other stakeholders in the room and have those conversations. So those conversations will continue. And really, as part of our learning, our commitment to learning, I think the learning never ends, is that we are undertaking a few studies, I think I did mention in the group that I was in, to understand the effectiveness of the approaches that were implemented through this initiative. So we'll be looking at effectiveness of, for example, community livelihood approaches. Should we be doing beekeeping or high effectiveness mushroom farming, or the different types of community livelihood initiatives that were undertaken? We will look at the effectiveness of habitat management and species conservation approaches. And the aim is for us to learn, right? We must take leadership, we must learn, and we must share these learnings so that moving forward, so for IUCN and for others, to be able to say, these are, approaches that we feel are effective, or how we can continue to learn and adapt and make them even more effective in the work that we do. So this is work that is ongoing, and we will definitely share all these outcomes once they're ready. And so I just want to take a minute to also thank you all for coming and joining in our celebration today. We're very happy that you took the time to join us. Special mention to my team, to the IUCN colleagues, those you met and those who are working behind the scenes to help us. And for sure, a special mention to Maria Fernanda for facilitating this event. And so please accept my heartfelt gratitude and thank you very much. Back to Maria.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you very much, Nadia, for all your words. Now, we just want to, before conclude, maybe know a bit how you are living today, what you like it, and maybe we can see again the gallery view with this very big group here. We have one final question before you leave is, maybe you can share what's the thing that caught your attention in the most in today's meeting pour mes collègues francophones. Quelle est la chose qui a la plus retenu votre attention dans la réunion d'aujourd'hui? So as we said, the conversation will continue. It's just a thermometer for us. I hope you have enjoyed this event in a more participatory way instead of webinars where we just hear from one or two. I hope you enjoyed, and we hope to see you again next time. So if you can share in the chat, and while some people are reading, maybe we can open the mic for one or two or three voices if you would like to share what is your point. Anuska would like to share, or someone else would like to open the mic and share. You can raise your hand or open the mic while the others can write in the chat.
Thanks, Maria. I was actually clapping.
One at a time. Go ahead, Anuska.
Yeah, sorry, I was just clapping for you and the team. I think it was a really interesting webinar, super hands-on, like you said, very interactive. And I was really surprised also at the diversity and the participants. There were many, I feel like, who really wish to work more in the African landscape, including me. So yeah, I feel a lot of interest and a lot of diversity, and that is what caught my attention today. And thank you, super interesting.
Thank you so much. You are welcome. Who else would like to speak? Hui, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Maria and the team. I hope I pronounce it correctly, Maria or Mahia. My name is Rayos from South Sudan. Happy to be here, and I'm so happy that I can see all those smiling faces. And okay, we are not a grantee to the IUCN, but we're looking forward to, as we are beneficiaries to the funding from Wildlife Conservation Network. So we are at the heart of the Sud wetland of South Sudan. A lot of biodiversity there. And I'm happy that we're now in touch with at least more than 100, and we're looking forward to building more relationship with this energy that I've seen today from this group. Please, let's continue building this and having more engagement, because just like our wild animals and our wildlife, they interact freely. So also to us, because the wild animals in South Sudan keep going to Ethiopia and Kenya and Uganda. So why can we also keep interacting as these other wild animals domesticated and now being positioned to construct houses and room for themselves? So yes, and I look forward to that. And And please always keep us in your prayers, and also in these activities, and we'll be sharing our experiences with you, which is the best things to continue in this call for environmental conservation. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's hear one or two voices and we can close. You see, you can also read the chat. There are a lot of comments there. Even some colleagues mentioned specific cases. So very good. Go ahead, Bruno.
Okay. Hello. Hello.
Thank you so much. That's been really an amazing conversation. And this is one thing I'm looking up to seeing, like, when is the next thing.
Bruno, is very far your mic. Can you speak near?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Very, not so loud enough. Maybe you can write on the chat because of the mic. James, do you want
Could
to
you share your emails, please?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Emmanuel James. I'm also from South Sudan, and
we may have issues with the internet, as we can imagine. Maybe we are on the time now, so I think we have some colleagues, Sanogo and Guy, who also want to speak. But for the others who need to leave, just to be on time, you are free to leave. We are going to send follow-up emails with the materials, videos, infographics, and everything. Sanogo and Guy, just allow me to just say for the colleagues if they have to go, just to keep the promised time, and the ones who can stay and continue. So, Monsieur Sanogo, allez-y.
Bon, moi, je voudrais savoir, après cette discussion, cette séance
Discussions, this exchange session for the wildlife in Africa. Generally, after this session, what are you thinking for the future? Do we need to create a new group, or to see how can we see that, make sure that we meet like once more again, so that we continue and consolidate our research? Because in Africa, especially in Mali, we this question with wild conservation areas is really a challenge, because there's no financing for this. There are no grants even for universities, nor for the local administration. Well, there is a lot of work. The only specialist for now for wildlife conservation is me via my PhD, my thesis that people are using. But of course, but unfortunately, I've only worked with chimpanzees in our country. Now we have a database for chimpanzees, but Mali is not there. It's not because Mali does not want to integrate this network, but it's just that we did not have some grants to be able to project and do proper studies, because still here we don't have a distribution chart for the wildlife in Mali. Okay, because of time, I suggest so that maybe we can give write this to Mr. Felician via email, so that we may see how we can answer this. Otherwise, Mr. Guy, is it possible that you may write an email, and let's do this way so that we may close the meeting according to the stipulated time.
Vous êtes muet, monsieur. Il faut ouvrir le micro, s'il vous plaît.
Ok, je voulais juste dire que je voulais juste vous remercier par rapport à
I just wanted to thank you for this wonderful initiative and these wonderful discussions with all the partners. Just a small observation that I'd like to give, so to do things better, because we had some group sessions where you put people in different groups. However, there's something that was lacking, think in this meeting, when we were discussing in the group sessions, and then we come back in the plenary sessions, we did not have some time to get the feedback from what others talked about. So, it seemed like we were in different meetings in the same meeting. What I'd like to propose, maybe in the future, after putting people into group work, we can choose, for example, some secretaries or the group presidents of the group, so that we can have a small plenary to have a 2 minutes feedback, and this will help others to also understand what were the discussions that were done in other groups, so that we may all understand. Others will be in the same group meeting and really not understand what other groups discussed, to see how we can also leverage from all their experiences. Otherwise, thank you. Well, yes, I understand this. I understand. We'd really like it to be a 2 hours meeting for all these themes, so it was not possible because of time but I'm sure that the exchanges are going to continue, and we will also have access to all the cases that were presented in these small groups. These were cases for different projects, and we have a document. And this will be documented in the panorama solutions or via videos, and you'll have access to all these materials later on. I'd like to thank everybody. So maybe everybody can open your cameras and say goodbye. You can say with your local language and say goodbye, so that we finish the day of today. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Au revoir.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Merci beaucoup à tous.
Merci. Bye
Ok,
bye.
bye bye.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Bye bye.
Merci, à
Bye
bientôt.
bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.